the polyamory lifestyle. I can't even say lifestyle because it's not a lifestyle. It's a way of loving, not a way of living. I've been.
What up? Let's do this. Speak on It podcast. We about to get it going.
What you think, man?
I've been in the polyamory lifestyle. I can't even say lifestyle because it's not a lifestyle. It's a way of loving, not a way of living. I've been polyamorous for about 10 years now.
Okay.
And the mindset for me is mentally, I think I've been polyamorous longer than actually practicing it because I've always felt that this monogamy just doesn't fit for me. But I don't understand why I have to only love one person or why I can only show affection for one person. Where is this written? Why do I have to go along with what the societal standard supposedly is?
Right.
And then
The problem comes when you love somebody too much. When you let yourself love somebody too much,
and they don't love you the same.
It's not even matter whether they love you back or not. They can love you back, but it's still unhealthy to love somebody that much. Which I understand that ideology of that. Well, I can't have. I might as well. I've been there. I know that. But at the same time, you have to realize, what your culpability is in a relationship going, however it went. You start thinking about, well, damn, I did this. So, you can love somebody too much. And then, see, that complicates things for us men because we already have a hard time forming those emotional attachments. You already told them, don't do this.
The missing link to that goes back to a time before we even thought, why doesn't my father is that a protection for me?
Right.
Or is that the way he was raised? Or maybe somebody hugged him one day, a man hugged him. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm just saying we got
No, but there are things that could have happened that absolutely that caused him to be the way he is.
made him feel weird, needed.
Right.
So the things that we think are sometimes a rejection or a lack may have been a protection.
And most of the time they are like absolutely. But if we don't understand that, all we know is the rejection.
You see, like what I understand with my father,
men were going to jail, killing each other, and then now we got bisexual, then we got gays, now we got transgender. So with all of that going on, the purpose of that was removing the black man, the black male from the household. Okay? So with him not being in the household, she's getting the welfare, or she's out there in the workforce, forced to take care of herself, and if she have children, to take care of the children alone. Whether he's in jail, whether he's dead, whether he's bisexual, whether he's gay, whatever. The black male was removed from the home, and black woman was forced to provide for the children, for herself.
You're missing one other thing that removes the black male from the home. That's white women. Because after a while, it was a run on black men, white women. Yeah, white women. You know, at one point, black men, they just had to have a white woman. No matter what their social economical status was, white women was the way to go. And so that pulled a lot of black men out of the house.
Damn, I sure missed that. I mean, I know Rick James, you know, I know, you know, I mean, you did it. I just didn't think of that as a major absence of the black man. So you
being a provider means so many things.
Right.
It means put you in a house. You know, it means I got your back. It means we're doing this together. It means I'm not gonna walk away when things get hard. You know, that's providing, right? I'm gonna provide emotional protection so that you can, you know, I'll be present for you when you don't feel like you can be there for yourself or whatever, you know. So there's so much more definition to the thing, right? And even on the flip side, looking at, you know, men with kids, right? I remember I did not want a man who had kids. And I was about 25 when I met my ex-husband and stuff like that.
What's up with you? Speak on the podcast 2K24. I'm your host, DJ Black, doing what it do on another Wednesday night episode of the Speak on It podcast. Man, look, it's been an exciting week in hip hop. And oh yeah, I left my glasses in the car by accident. So I'm gonna have to rock this thing without the focus, you know what I'm saying? But exciting in hip hop. I'm just gonna touch up on it a little bit, then we're gonna dive straight into the topic, get straight to it. Try to sum everything up within an hour. But yeah, it's been very, very, very exciting week. Kendrick finally responded, man. Kendrick finally said something. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna just touch on it tonight, but I'm gonna go into detail on my hip hop podcast. So I'm just speaking on it, just a little touch because it's trending right now. So he finally responded with his track Euphoria. Okay. And it's been getting mixed reviews, you know what I'm saying? Loved by the Drake haters, loved by the Kendrick fans, people that's not Team Kendrick, not Team Drake, are not really, you know, saying they're not really feeling it like talking about. But Euphoria, let's check that title. It's a feeling of what? Great happiness or well-being. Feeling of great happiness or well-being. Euphoria may be a side effect of certain drugs. So you're feeling good. You take the drugs, you're feeling good. So, you know, he's in a good place is what I take it as. And he came out firing. I mean, he threw everything, even the kitchen sink, at Drake on this one, which I don't know if that was a good strategic move, throwing everything out there like that. But I'm gonna play the track, and then I'm gonna give a quick, brief view of what I think about it. And then, but like I say, Wednesday when I do my hip hop podcast, the 15th, I'm gonna break, you know, go in more detail. But right now, it's just a in there and out there. But this is what he sounds like. Euphoria.
A woman who is
Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct. We hate the fuckers. They confuse themselves with real women. Then notice I said we. It's not just me. I'm what the culture feeling. How many more fairy tale stories about your life till we had enough? How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough? I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough. You gonna make a nigga bring back Puff. Let me see if Chubb's really cramped.
Now, why don't you like Drake?
I don't like anything about Drake.
Mom,
I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I don't.
See, I be trying to tell these people.
I don't like the way he walks. Like nothing. I don't like his haircut. I might just let me shut up.
And so that I don't like the way that you walk, the way that you talk. He got that from DMX. And like I say, me personally, and then I'm gonna move on to the topic. But me personally, I wasn't feeling the track. He came on with that Greatest Inspiration by Teddy Pendergrass. And he came in with a little slow rap, you know what I'm saying? Then he kept going, then it built up to the beat that you heard just then in the background. 6 minutes and some seconds long, too long. I just wasn't 100% impressed. And my thing was, after hearing him on the Like That track with Future and Metro Boomin, to hear him on that type of track, it didn't do him justice. But like I say, the Drake haters and the Kendrick fans love the song. They, oh, whoa. But with all that being said, when you have to listen to the non-biased people, they say Drake is ahead. That's what the polls are saying. They did a poll, which track is better? 33% for Kendrick, 67% for Drake. So be that as it may, I will go in more detail on the Hip Hop Podcast on the 15th of this month, which is the third Wednesday, is when I do my Hip Hop Podcast. So, yeah, in a nutshell. And what I think about the Champagne Poppy, I like the Drake track because it was more universal, more radio friendly, more club. Kendrick threw some nice, lyrics, lyrical assassin Kendrick. So I give Kendrick the lyrics, the diss. He went straight for the head. The only thing he did, he mentioned a lot of stuff that we already knew, we already heard. The ghostwriting stuff, how many times they're going to bring that up? Him not being 100% black, some Pusha T stuff, some stuff Rick Ross said. So I really just wasn't 100% impressed because I just felt like Kendrick could have came with a more K-Dot track, you know what I'm saying? Kung Fu Kenny, But the way I think Drake, he's boiling up, and I think he's gonna drop something, and I think it'll be sooner than later. But as of now, I think Drake is kind of unbothered.
Let's go.
And yes, that was Drake in the gym with his boxing sparring partner. So, keep underestimating, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. And we're about to dive into the topic of the evening. Hold on, let's see. So yeah, I'll go into more detail on the Kendrick Drake, and hopefully by then Drake will be done responded. By the time I go back on, he'll be done dropped a track, and I can break both of them down on my Hip Hop Wednesday every third Wednesday night, right here on Facebook, also on YouTube, and the app X, formerly known as Twitter. But this is the topic of the night. Why do most women that grew up with daddy issues seem to struggle more in relationships than women who grew up with their fathers or a good father figure in their household? And I will have a therapist coming on here tonight to also elaborate on that. Also on the stage now, our other co-host, I see Austin in the building. What's happening with you, man? As he get his things right. But yeah, we're gonna tackle that. Daddy issues. And while he's getting ready to speak, every time a woman, a bitter woman, see us post something about a woman, she automatically goes in defense mode and come with her negative comments. Now, this would actually, if anything would be negative, it would be towards the man that's not participating or choose not to be in their daughter's lives the way they should be. So it would have been a bash against the man, but she got on there and was trying to say, oh, if your girlfriend broke up with you, grow up, get over it, and all that stuff. And I'm like, everything isn't always got to be, negative. This is a 4-part deal. You have daddy issues. You have women with mother issues. You have men with daddy issues, and you have men with mommy issues. So it's really a 4-part discussion. But me being a gentleman, let's tackle the daddy issues. How important is it for a father to be in his daughter's life? So that lady came on there with all her little negative stuff, and I politely put her in a place intelligently, But yeah, that was kind of crazy to me.
Black.
Hey, what's that? And I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, you good. You loud and clear. Clear. But yeah, so then she came on there. Well, are you do you have a degree to even talk about that? You know what I'm saying? Who needs a degree to discuss issues that's going on in the hood? That's not something you need a degree from. And with me being a mass communications degree, it's like I learned more through trial and error and on the job than I ever did sitting in a damn classroom. But yeah, you if you can't get no woman, that don't mean she have that all of them have woman issues, daddy issues. I'm like, but yeah, it's no shot, no downplay to no women or nothing. It's actually, I would have took it as a shot to men need to step up and be more involved in their children's lives, whether it's a son or a daughter. But she chose to go the woman route, as if men bashing women because we speak on issues that goes on, in everyday life. So, but be that as it may, I put her in a little place and and moved on. But it's just that our people, is always looking for something to complain about, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're gonna do a little hour podcast tonight, diving into this issue. So have you ran into a woman that you were either dating or had thought would be a great wife, significant other, wife, plus one, that didn't have a great relationship with a father, and it was kind of difficult with you dating them?
Well, I can't really say that, and I've kind of changed my tone as it goes to women with daddy issues versus women without father guidance.
Okay.
Yeah, so
daddy issues would be if she wanted that father in her life.
I know what you're saying.
Right.
But
she because I know a lot of women who I'd be like, why even, if he's not in your life, why look for him? You know what I'm saying? Why? And you explained it on one of the podcasts, because we were talking about having a great step parent, but they're going to always drift off and try to find the parent. You know what I'm saying? Their original parent. And you was explaining to me why they do that, because I just didn't see it. But
right.
So it kind of ties into that. And
well, the thing, and the reason I said, not having a father for guidance is because, you know, on what you were just talking about is one aspect of things. Looking for their father as a place of security and refuge and those type of things to identify where they came from and being a part of their lives, that type of thing. But on this particular topic, when I think of women with daddy issues, or well, when that's said, it's women making bad decisions because they didn't have a father in their life.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the ones that go out or they say seek men that uh, resemble what their
Right.
father
There you
would
go.
have been
Okay.
and those type of things. And my thing is, why would you want to sleep with an image of your father? You know,
Well, they say that um, men tend to choose women that were like their mothers.
well, when they say we're like their mothers, they mean the nourishing, the kind, the that type of thing, not for physical or for um or any type of sexual vision of what their mothers represent, if that makes sense. How, you know, some men are mama's boys. Their mama spoiled them. They kept them on their breast until they're like 10 or 15 or 20, and
Right.
so they just took care of them in a way that prevented them from or made them want to seek that type of nourishment from
A
um,
female.
from whoever they're dating, and so they seek the approval of their mothers for people that they're dating because they want the mother to see part of them in that person that they're dating. And if they can't meet those standards of the mother and how the mother sees herself taking care of her child, her son, then that person's no good for them.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that's just my lit view on that. So, and they say that your mother or your father is your first love, this, that, and whatnot. And I don't think that's it. They're your first vision of what love should appear to be in a relationship. They're the visual guide on what a relationship should represent. But you know, all that fraud and yeah, Sigmund Freud and all them people. Yeah. I didn't fall in with that. What
Uh,
they're thinking.
okay. You say that your first vision of love should be from your parents, correct?
Yeah, they should be what you visualize when someone says a loving marriage, a caring marriage, a healthy marriage. They should be what you visualize when people make that statement. So
Mhm.
you pattern your relationship after that relationship that you see or that you grew up with.
Mhm.
And
So,
go ahead.
okay, so I was I had a female friend, and she wanted a child because she said the child would give her
Unconditional love.
unconditional love that a man wouldn't give her.
And see,
Okay,
people get
so And she was very clingy and needy, because she didn't have that love from her father that she wanted. And I don't think she didn't even have a good relationship with her mother either. And I noticed that while dating her, because I've always heard, and my parents had said when I was out there getting in the serious dating world, that if a woman disrespects her mother, she'll eventually disrespect me. And so I'm thinking we were getting to know each other. I'm thinking maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months into the dating, and I heard her cursing her mama out. You know what I'm saying? And I've never cursed. I don't even think mine heard me curse. They may have heard me say damn or hell. But the sexual, the F and all that, and the bitch and all that, I haven't said that yet in front of my parents, but she was on the phone. I'm talking about straight out cursing her mom out. And the only problem that I had with her actually, was she would ask for her opinion, but she'll still do what she wanted to do. So I was like, why even ask? But that goes back to lack of guidance, from she didn't respect her parents. So if I would say, well, yeah, I think we need to do this would be the best route. She still kind of, would do her own thing. So I was like, shit, why even ask? So that's the only issue that I had, because her father wasn't in her life and she didn't respect her mom. And I ran into, her just making her own decisions, what she wanted to do.
Right. So back to your first statement when you were saying that the young lady wanted a baby because it would give her unconditional love and
Unconditional, that's all she said.
something that a man wouldn't be able to give. And she's right, because those loves are different. And you should look at those loves differently. So no child is going to love you like your significant other would, and no significant other is going to love you like your child would, because they're different. It's a different type of love.
But she kept hollering about that unconditional love, and I do hear certain people say that their mate's supposed to give them unconditional love,
and that's crazy too, because I don't think anyone has unconditional love. There's always some conditions on love. Because I mean, if it's unconditional, that means you forgive them for any and everything. And I'm not built that way. There may be some out there that's built that way, but there are some things that I will not stand for. So
right? So the love is you saying, I love you until you do this, or my love is there until you. So either way it goes, it's some type of condition on it, is what you're stating.
yeah, there is a condition. There's a condition
TV.
on me staying. There's a condition on my love. There's a condition on a number of things. So there's nothing that's truly unconditional.
Well, I think she had that totally messed up, because that was her main thing. When we would get into it, she would always say that. That's why she wants a child who can love her unconditional, something that I couldn't,
Even if
And I was like,
so even if you abuse a child, most of the time they're still going to look at you,
be there, come
and
around.
they're going to look at you. They may look at you still as their mother or father, but they don't trust you. They don't feel that you're going to protect them. So therefore, there are certain things that they're not going to do. So even a child's love is conditional.
We have Ad Carmen TV. Just popped in. How you doing, Carmen?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. So yeah, the topic is daddy issues, women with daddy issues, and is it important that do it actually affect the child when that child or well, we're talking about the women now, when that woman doesn't have or that girl doesn't have that father figure hands-on in their lives, can it affect the decisions they make and how they move in life as an adult? So that's the main question.
So I do think that it can have an effect on how they move and the decisions that they make. But I do want to say, I don't think it's an automatic, if you grew up this way, you'll act this way. I think, like he said, there are still so many different conditions, so many different ways people can pan out. So I will say yes, but I won't just apply that to every single person.
Yeah, there's an exception to every rule, right?
Yeah. So I heard a little bit of what Austin was saying a second ago about how it does affect people. You should be able to say, I have seen a healthy relationship, or I experienced what healthy love feels like. You should be able to say that, but that's not the case for everyone. So a lot of times, just like with drinking, abuse, or anything at all, you can have two children in that same household and they can both go opposite directions. So one person may follow the exact same pattern and do the same thing they saw. And then one person, like me, may be someone who says, you know what, that's not what I want for myself. I've seen this movie before and I just don't want to repeat that for myself. So that's why I say it can go either way. But I do feel it's important. I was having kind of sort of this conversation recently. Someone was asking me about dating and how I am able to date the way that I do. But for me, going out, firstly, before we even get into the relationship and all that, going out on actual dates is a requirement for me. I feel like right now, there's a lot of hookup culture type things going on. I feel like the DM to Pound Town pipeline is way too strong right now, and I'm just not comfortable with that for safety reasons. So many things. That's not my thing, but that seems to be the norm right now. So
you're kind of old-fashioned, would you say?
I guess you would say that.
Traditional,
slower paced, maybe.
So being in your DM and coming over to your house, you ain't feeling that. So you got to go on a date. You got to go sit down, eat, and kind of talk to them.
Yeah. So I think
see where they head at.
That whole hookup situation, that's leading to a lot of problems in these relationships because people aren't taking the time to actually date and get to know each other. So you've like fused in with this person physically, spiritually, all this. And then later you're trying to get to know them. So maybe then you see you're not compatible, when I feel like it should be the other way around. We should have these type of conversations. We should go out. We should get a feel for each other. Take the time to vet people before you just decide you're going to be with someone. So
popping up in the DM and then bringing you a 3.5 and some game Swissers, that ain't gonna get it. Sitting in the driveway and just blowing the trees, sitting in the driveway, talking about the future. That you ain't with that.
No, I'm not. These people are strangers, and not just to judge anyone or anything like that, but I just feel like a lot of women, a lot of people are forgetting about safety concerns. So let's say someone DMs me and I come over to their house. They don't know me at all. I could rob them. I could harm them. I could do so many things. So for my own personal safety, I still choose to date the old-fashioned way. I just feel like that cuts out a lot of the problems that people are having when you're taking the time to get to know one another. But with that being said, my dad and I, we still have lunch dates and dinner dates all the time. So it could be just that he set that pattern for me. And that's just what I choose to do. So it comes back to the original question that you asked. I have a good relationship with my dad. So I don't think he would do the driveway parking, all that with someone. So I just don't think that's an option for me.
Well, I mean, it's good to hear at least, one woman out of many that's I feel has respect for herself.
She's very rare. I'm like, is she gaslighting? But she's very rare. Every time she gets on here, she's hella rare. I mean, but she is her person.
Yeah, I mean,
And I
and
mean,
that's a
and
good
then the
thing.
way she's genuine with it. So that's how I know she's I feel she's honest with what she's saying. Um, very few women that I've met had a great, and I don't know, but they didn't have that great of a father influence, such as you had. They majority were single. When I got older, I ran into a lot of the single parent homes.
Yeah, that was
And
the thing I didn't realize was so common until I was older. When I was a
yeah,
child, my classmates and people I went to church with, I mean, we all just had families. My parents did divorce when I was in
hmm
grade, but even up until that point, I had only really seen people with their father. So once I got older and started my own business and started working with other women, so many women have either bad relationships with their dad or non-existent, but that isn't the only option out there. It was just way more people than I realized growing up, and it had a lot of effect on them. A lot of them are really angry. I found really angry because they didn't get that love and time and relationship with their dad. So that was
yeah.
strange for me to
And
see.
then I find them chasing that relationship at 25 and 30 years old. And then me as a man looking at, if I wasn't involved in her life at all when she was little, I probably would feel weird with a grown daughter coming to me now, and she don't know me, I don't know her. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like it'll be a kind of weird feeling because I wouldn't know what's going through her head. She don't know what's going through mine. So, I just don't know how they, but a lot of them still long for that, that relationship. And yeah, they, but like they say, daddy's little girl. They want to be, daddy's little girl. And they say the bond with a daughter and father is a bond like none other if you could experience that.
Yeah. My dad and I, we have always been super close. We look a lot alike. We have a lot of the same interests. Our birthdays are a week apart. So I won't say that our relationship was perfect, but I will say that we are pretty close. Even
Are
after,
you an only child?
I know he has three girls, so I'm the middle of the three. But
Okay.
I will say though, all three of us are single. So I don't know if that connects to what we're saying because he has been married 3 times. This is his third marriage. And I won't say it's turned me away from wanting to get married. I just, like I said a second ago, I just don't want to rush into anything. So, but with all three of us being that same way, I don't think that my dad takes it as a personal thing against him. I don't think he's connected the dots. But sometimes my sisters and I, we talk about it like, it's got to be something here. We're all 3 different ages, different whatever, but we come from the same parenting background. So maybe it does have an effect on the way that we date. So it goes pretty deep. It goes deep. But people aren't wanting to be honest with themselves. Like you said, sometimes people
Right.
have sort of a lack. And instead of just being honest with themselves, trying to figure out what's going on, they just move through the world kind of weird. So,
Like this statement here says, daughters who has a fulfilling relationship with their father is usually more trusting, more secure, more satisfied in her romantic relationships than the daughters with a troubled or distant relationship with her dad. She said, adding that this is the case regardless of whether her parents are married or divorced. Like you just said, yours were divorced, but you still kept that relationship with dad. But the cases with the people I know, the father and mother, split, divorced or whatever. And the dad was more like, if I can't have the mother, saying he didn't deal with the child. And then once that child became grown, they chased, after the father. So that's majority of the ones that I've met, that be the case. They broke up when they was about 8, maybe 12 years old. And there was a bitter relationship between the mother and the father. And once the daughter became 18 or graduated high school, she, moved on her own and chased after the father and against the mother's wishes, per se. So it was you're one of the. There's not many that once the divorce that fathers stick around and stay in that child's life hands on. He'll do what he can, birthdays and different things like that. But to have that great bond and the relationship as you have with your father, being that he's not in the house, wasn't in the household, that's kind of rare, So you're blessed and like I said, unique in that aspect. It was rare.
I have to also shout out to my dad because his father was not around. So he didn't see someone to pattern after. So like I said a second ago, sometimes you do what you saw or you do the opposite. So I always try to, every now and then, just thank him for being present and thank him for being involved in our lives because he didn't have that. So, yeah, shout out to my dad. Like I said, we're close. We talk every day. I do, my heart goes out to people who that's not their situation and I cannot speak on their behalf, but I know that no matter which way it goes, having that type of relationship early in your life, someone actually, like he said, loving you unconditionally is really important. And there are people who have had both parents in their house their whole entire lives. Their parents are still together, but then they still don't feel that love within themselves. So that's why I say it's not an automatic, if your dad wasn't around, then you're just going to be like this. Or if you had both parents, then you'll be like this, because there's always exceptions to the rule. So,
right. So, well, being that you was an exception to the rule, did your father actually talk to you about men, like give you examples or let you know, hey, if a guy says this, he means that? Are you guys that close where he sits and be like, oh, he running game, and if he say this, he say that? Did he give you game?
We are close like that now. I will also say on my dad's end, he himself had to become a better man. So when I would have been the age for those type of conversations, I won't say he was out in the streets, but I'll just say he was still really young and making a lot of bad decisions is what I'll say. So we didn't have those conversations back then when they would have really been beneficial to me. But right. We have type of conversations now. So even more recently, I asked him a question and I wasn't sure, was he gonna freak out or what? Because I know he had some infidelity in his past. I asked him about married men that approach me. I said, is it something, are men just looking for a thrill? Is it always just physical? Or do they actually have feelings for these women that they choose to step out with? And I didn't know, I really was not sure how he was gonna answer. I was like, this is pretty bold to be asking someone about their past, but he actually answered it with no problem. He was like, I did have my time back in the day, and sometimes it was just a hookup, but sometimes he did actually care for the person. And he asked me, what would I be willing to wait on for this person? Would I put my whole life on pause for someone who is committed to someone else? And if the answer is no, which it should be, then you don't need to deal with that person at all. So he actually answered the question and everything. So like I said, we weren't having conversations like this back then when I could have.
When you were 17, 18.
Yeah.
You are having them now.
Yeah.
But and see,
well, the fact that you're single, that's still a good thing because you can still benefit from that conversation because you are single and different people approaching you. What you were saying, Austin?
And see, and that goes back to my statement in the beginning that it's more about having a father there to give you guidance versus someone having daddy issues.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I
Because when you don't have a father in your life, then some of the men that come into your life, like say call themselves your godfather or whatever, they could have different or alternative motives than and seeking something different. But you should be able to trust your father, your
Right.
biological father, or the person that has placed themselves in your life as your father, say your stepfather or
Right.
whatever. Then you should be able to trust them and trust the guidance that they're giving if they are
Right.
a person
But if
that
you
a statue that would provide that information. And I think that's where, Miss Carmen is benefiting from, although her father may not have been there in the early years to provide that guidance. He's there
Right.
now and he can be open and honest about his opinion and his wording as he gives guidance to her.
Right. And it's a good thing that they don't have the daddy issues where she can't stand her dad and the dad can't stand her. See, that's where the issues would come in at. Carmen just happened to have a good relationship with her dad. But
And
we've met people who say they can't stand their father. He wasn't this, he ain't that, he ain't this, and they can't stand him. And those are the ones who I've seen made decisions that I wouldn't have made or wouldn't advise my daughter to make. But
And
they hate their dad.
Yeah, and again, that comes back to that guidance thing. And I mean, I don't know. Me, I am a forgiving person. I'm an understanding person. I try to, you know, identify the good in whatever person there is to a certain extent.
The
You
silver
know,
cloud, the silver lining.
yes, even, I have the dark cloud with the silver lining, but it has another dark trimming around it. So, with that being said, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I always watch to learn. So, um, you you have to be careful with allowing people in your life that, well, I'll scratch that. I'm not even gonna make that statement. But when you don't have that guidance in your life from a father or a father figure, then that could create some issues where you are naive to a lot of situations that
There
may
you go.
arise
Right.
from people that are out there to, game you or whatever it is, you know. And if they're leading you down the road, because there are a lot of men out there that can offer you the world with their words but give you nothing with their emotions. And
And
so,
that's why I have always been a show me person. You just can't tell me you love me. I have to see it.
but if you're thirsting for love uh from a male, even though you're looking at it from the perspective of my father wasn't there, so I need love from a male, because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
going to replace what my father did not give me, then you will fall for whatever male that gives you attention. So I guess that's where we come to looking at daddy absent issues come into play.
I will ask, since I've got you two guys here, I do want to ask the same question that we're saying for women. Do you feel this applies to men as well? Because I do. I've dated and met a lot of guys, and I can usually tell just by talking to a guy if his father was around or not. So the men are also out here. They don't call it daddy issues for the guys, and I don't know why. But the men are also out here being raised without any guidance, acting a fool, like just no morals, no real values. Usually those guys did not have their father in their lives.
Well,
It's daddy issues because the other guy that's a therapist that be on here, his daddy and him had issues. And he spoke about it here on the podcast quite a few times. And they just now started getting back together. But yeah, a lot of men that didn't have a good father figure, whether it was grandfather, stepdad, uncle, stepdad or whatever, that didn't have that father figure, they make a lot of bad decisions, and a lot of them be upset, angry. They have anger. I've noticed a lot of anger issues, and I guess that's deep within because they didn't have their father around. I don't know, but I just know there's a lot of guys that I know that I've hung around whose fathers weren't in their lives. They kind of seem like they get angry. They have an attitude or something. I don't know.
well, that kind of goes back to the same thing, guidance and showing, you know, love from someone that helped create you, you know. So for whatever reason, they allowed that to fuel their anger versus fuel their betterment, trying to be a better person than what that person was, and to treat whatever offspring that they make, you know, help them to be a better person and to give guidance toward, you know, to whatever situation that they're in. So a lot of people use that as an excuse. I didn't have my dad, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, but you saw things, you learned from things. I don't know if you read, but you may have read some things
Yeah.
that can lead you into a better way of thinking. And you can't always place that on your parents or
Blame somebody else.
society. Yeah, you have to take ownership of, I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to do things different.
Right. And many of them don't. They point the blame. They look to blame.
Typically, when we think about women that have daddy issues, at least from my perspective, you know what I'm saying?
No,
my experiences, it is situations to where they don't have the same disciplines that you would expect from
a girl with a father.
Correct.
We go off the rockets. The moment we meet you, we need to feel secured. And that sucks because it's like, he doesn't deserve my trauma dumped on him. He doesn't deserve that. He's not responsible for that.
Come here.
Yeah. And that's sometimes what it is, a trauma dump, you know, because you haven't learned how to handle whatever misguidance that you received as a child, or no guidance as a child. So whatever mistakes you make in life, you choose to blame the person that wasn't there for those issues that you say that you have, but you made the choice to do, if that makes sense.
And that's why I said earlier, the ones that I've met that had the daddy issues, the daddy wasn't in their lives. They just move different, and all of them just move different. Whether it's promiscuous, whether it's they didn't want to listen. It just was a whole, a lot. And then they quick to say, "You're not my daddy." If you offer something that's that you feel like can better them, whether if they're in school or they're trying to make a career choice, and then they're going down the wrong path, and you say, "Hey, you need to try this. Why don't you try that?" They quick to say, "You're not my dad. My dad don't tell me what to do," because the dad wasn't in their lives.
But
So those were one or two of the issues that I ran into with one or two that had the daddy issues, meaning they really disliked their father. They didn't like him.
But
and
you
so
can
it
have
trickled
that.
down to me.
You can have that also with a person that oh, that's so cute, that was raised in the household with their father.
Yeah.
Because I know someone that was raised in the house with their father and mother. Um, very, very smart, very intelligent, but very toxic. Her mom and dad had a pretty good relationship, but she was a very toxic person. And those are things that she kind of just picked up through life and life events. So um, with wanting to be rebellious, you know. So it
That's
can
the
go both
word I was
ways.
looking for. That she was very rebellious. No matter what I said, it was like she gonna do what you want to do. That was it. Thank you for finding that word. But that's what it was. I mean, good person. It's just when it came to those, decisions or what I would suggest, it was a problem, you know. And I just knew that at that point that it wasn't gonna work, because as your mate, you guys supposed to come, and meet things in the middle. Especially something that could affect both of you. If her taking a career thing, and if she's gonna be away from the house, or a career that's gonna be a non-elevating career, and she does what she wants. That's what it is. Rebels against whatever you say. So that was her issue. She hated her father, and when I would offer certain things, it was a problem.
So my question is, how can we, instead of just playing the blame game, how can we kind of nip this in the bud for future generations? So on the guy's end, I guess if you have a friend or someone who has children, are you going to say you need to step up and be involved in your child's life because this is going to affect them for the rest of their lives? Are y'all having those type of conversations with other men?
I do. I do. I have that with family members. I have that. Well, most of my friends are my family members, but I mean, I have that conversation because you know I've seen what it can do to a relationship, or not having a relationship with your father or your mother, and what type of things that can create. But in the same breath, as you get older, or as that child gets older, he or she has to realize that, okay, that was them, and what they did would not have a bearing on my life and how I live it. So, you're going to accept or reject those things that you see in life that are positive and negative, and you're going to flow toward what feels good to you. So those choices that you make are going to actually be on you and not your upbringing.
And me, on the other hand, I have those discussions, and the guy who is not involved, a lot of times they would reply like, I don't understand the situation. You don't know what how it is. You don't understand.
I
So
would, but his
they more
mama.
or less be more like, what works for me don't work for them. So a lot of times the reason that it's hard to reach different people is because today a lot of people like, that's you. I ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? They voice their opinion. Well, you need to call her up or try to reach out, and then they'll say, but that's just my opinion. That's up to you. So then the guy be like, I'm not gonna do it, and and they like, well, it's not affecting me. So that's what I've run into a lot. When I reach out and say, hey man, when the last time you talked to such a dad? They don't call me, I don't call them. So it just be a constant, drifting thing. But I also know there are a group of guys, a lot of the new guys are saying, if you're not taking care of your child or being in your children's lives, we don't want you in our lives. Now, I have seen a wave of that going around. Men that cheat, there are certain men that don't, it's like men are taking a stand to be better men, and they are letting go of the friends that's not willing to ride their wave. I have seen that going on lately.
Which I think is good. That was what I was going to ask next. Would you actively be hanging with someone who you knew was not an active father? I just can't imagine if you are an active father in your child's life and this guy is not. I just can't imagine.
That's deep. But and you can Google that, and you can go to TikTok. There's so many people talking about just what you just mentioned. And a lot of them nowadays are bagging away from those friends where if you're not taking care of yours, and I don't think we need to be, friends. And I was like, when I started seeing that trend, I was like, that's kind of deep, because that's just deep. Just imagine somebody you grew up with, or you knew since middle school or 6th grade, and you're cutting them off because they're not being men or she's not being a woman. Let's just say she's promiscuous and you're in a committed relationship thinking about marriage, and you have a friend that's out there sleeping with every guy who tells her she's pretty, and you have to cut that friend off that you've been knowing since the 6th grade because of her behaviors and her decisions. That's kind of tough. So I'm like, that it's tough, but it's a wave of people doing that.
But my question, I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's very necessary for growth. Separation is a part of elevation. So anything you're trying to do and change, improve, if someone else is not on that same wavelength as you don't really have to even do anything. You just keep doing the right thing, and that person will eventually fall off. So
there you go. I was going to say, my thing Carmen's is so goddamn strict. I wouldn't want her to be no supervisor or nothing over me. Carmen, like, but
my thing is, if you cut someone off, then how are they going to learn? How are they going to be held accountable?
I will say it's not just a silent cutoff for no reason. So if I've spoken with you, so I have a cousin that this happened to. So we were talking all the time. We were swapping different books. We're trying to grow together. But one of the books was all about working on the relationship you had with yourself and taking accountability for your actions. And she was like, well, don't send me that because I'm not changing. Okay. Well, this is the whole reason why we started the book club. So if you don't want to change, we don't need to continue on. And so we actually don't speak anymore. But prior to this, we had been speaking about growth and change. So it wasn't just for no reason, but we just were on 2 different paths.
Well, I can understand that. But, my thing is, I don't have to do what you do, and I don't have to and I don't condone what you do. So I'm going to show you or tell you when I think something is wrong. So I can't point those things out and just let you fall by the wayside, you know. That but that's just me. If
Let me ask you this.
you're not doing anything to harm or hurt me, because your actions are not going to rub off on me. I'm hoping
Right.
my actions rub off on you.
Let me
And
ask you this.
if
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
You know, we fam, okay? Let's just say if I was like I was in college
Hmm.
and I'm wild and I'm still doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? I got
Hmm.
a revolving door, threefold, you know what I'm saying? Women coming back. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I ain't trying to commit because I have trust issues. And I'm just gonna do what I do and and move around. That marriage stuff and being in one committed relationship, that's your thing. Do your thing. But let's just say you're married and your wife knows my lifestyle. Will she be comfortable with you being around me and you're not rubbing off on me because my mind made up? How would you deal with that situation? You're married, are
Well,
committed, and I'm running the streets doing me, and you got to leave town to come stay with me. You're in the
well,
city, your wife is at work on business or whatever, and you come here with me, and she knows my lifestyle.
well, number one, your spouse has to have faith and trust in you. So it depends on who your spouse is, and how they know you. Now, there are people out there that are still tempted by certain things. Some people are tempted by drinking, some people are tempted by smoking, some people are tempted by open legs. So you have to know your spouse, and that spouse has to know you, to know that you're strong enough and man enough not to let anyone else's actions, words, or anything else influence you.
Right.
Now, if you have a spouse that is, that's they're that person that don't want you to hang with someone that's living that lifestyle, then if you respect your your marriage, your household, your spouse, then you would have to walk away from that friend
Right.
or family member.
That's what I was looking for. I was wondering, would you literally cut off that friend slash family member if they're living the way your significant other despise the way,
Yeah,
despise
but
their
that's
living?
that's that's totally different, because now you bringing in the spouse into the situation. So now I have to take under consideration my spouse, and she comes first. She comes before any other relationship other than my relationship with God. So in that instance, yes. But if I have a strong spouse that knows that I am a strong man, and better yet, a husband, then I'm going to do what I can to assist whoever it is to come out of whatever fears they have, whatever actions they're not doing, to be a better man or a better person. So if I knew someone that was a cheating spouse, then my wife and we discuss everything. And if she says, well, I don't really want you hanging with Justin because he's a cheater and whatever, whatever, then I'm be like, hey, Justin,
Man,
you know,
Justin been cheating forever though. Justin, he always been out there.
yeah. So well, but I would have to leave Justin alone, because again, I respect my wife, and what she thinks, what she feels, how she feels. But again, if your wife knows you or your spouse knows you, and they know you don't allow those type of things to affect you or your relationship with them,
Right.
then it's totally different.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. In this situation, it's different because it's going to be based on how secure the spouse is in their relationship with you. So, for example, um, sometimes the person that they don't want you to be around or whatever is in your same hometown. It's someone that you may see at work every day. So how can I prevent you from hanging around Justin? Y'all work together. I'm just hoping that you have enough self-control on your own. So no matter who this bad apple in the bunch may be, I'm counting on my spouse to be secure and confident and have a mind of his own, so that no matter what someone else is doing, he still respects our relationship. So that's kind of tricky, and it would be
Right.
based on the
spouse or the significant other.
When I was younger, when my parents originally divorced, and the first person that my dad, or second, I guess, that my dad married, she was not secure. Even as a child, I could see that she was not secure. She would call our phone, the children's phone, and leave messages for my mom, which I thought was weird because my mom had no interest in my dad after they divorced at all. She would make all of us pile into the car together when he would have to take us home, just to make sure that he wasn't seeing my mom. And it wasn't that type of car for a lot of people. So it's just like he said about being secure, she was not. And so they didn't stay together. I was going to say, I wouldn't want to be with someone who was not secure within themselves or secure within the relationship.
Right. Yeah. But and then again, those are things that you see as a child, and that's a definition of an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
So you pick up on that and you learn from that. And so you're able to identify what an unhealthy relationship looks like. So it can go both ways. You know, again, life is a learning experience. So everything that you experience helps you out in your life. So that's why, I've been through a number of relationships, and I don't call any of them bad relationships. I look at those as experiences to what shaped my positive and negative of a relationship. So I know what I like and what I don't like in a relationship. I know how I want to be treated. I know how I want to feel in a relationship. And the only way that I was able to experience that was through the different relationship experiences that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only is your spouse, whoever you're dating, really would have to, y'all have to have that good relationship, because I've noticed when certain relationships are shaky, per se, that's where some trust issues could come in. But I also agree with, like I tell people when they're all about on the religious tip, they don't want people hanging with sinners. And I was like, how could Jesus save people, for the ones that believe in Jesus? How could Jesus save people if he ran from them? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You have to, he walked amongst the sinners. So I'm a firm believer at, and I just happen now, I have been in a relationship where there were a lot of issues. He could have came. Where there's a lot of issues with the trust issues, because me being a club guy, a DJ, club promoter, around a lot of women just didn't accept that. That was kind of hard to accept. Just like they say, truck drivers, DJs, promoters, it was just hard for people to trust.
Well, men, period.
Yeah, I think that still goes back to the spouse or partner being secure. My children's father, he worked in the clubs. He was the photographer in the club. So I was secure within myself, though. And even though I met him in the club, while he was working, I was not thinking, oh, he's in some woman's face, or oh, this or that. That thought never crossed my mind. I actually
he made you feel secure.
I wouldn't say that he made me feel secure, but I feel secure within myself already. So.
Yeah, but he made you feel secure also, because if he was smiling in all your friends' face and looking at them some type of way, you would feel some type of way.
But he had a smile on people's face.
That's part of his job, though. So
that's what I'm saying. So he would have to be friendly and smile in people's face, because that's how he earned his business. Yeah. If he walked around with a sour face and not talking, then I don't think he would have gotten many photos done.
I don't think so. But
yeah, he would have to be friendly, and that's what I had to explain to mine when we first got together. I'm as a DJ, and I'm on that mic. You know what I'm saying? I say some things. You know what I'm saying? If your pussy clean, let me hear you scream. You know what I'm saying? And how many ladies in here want to be single? I say stuff. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm gonna give shout outs to the most popular women that promotes my party. You know what I'm saying? You looking nice tonight. You looking good. And at first she didn't get it, and I was like, "This is what I do. I'm coming home to you, but this is what I do." But that also comes from their past relationships, different things that they've been in, different things they've been through. But I had to let anybody I was involved with, this is what I do. Some tried to handle it. Many of them couldn't. The one I'm with now, we had a conversation on what to say. I had to tone down what I said. And I said this on one of our way earlier podcasts. But I had to change what I was saying when I got in a serious relationship, because women were still looking at me as if I'm single. They still were coming around me saying things as if I was saying. They wasn't respecting my relationship because of the things I was saying on the mic.
Well, I don't know if it was the things that you were saying on the mic. It could be they just didn't respect people's relationship boundaries. And that's the thing. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't respect, that ring or, whatever it is. Or you can tell people I'm in a relationship and I'm happy. A lot of people look at that as a challenge.
Yeah.
So you're right. I wasn't used to it, because I never thought I'd even be in a situation to even say the word marriage. But so I didn't see it like that. And I'm like, I'm just being me. I'm making my money. I'm not going to change. You're going to either trust me. That was my attitude. And that was the wrong attitude, because that was her first time being in a relationship with someone popular that, I don't have men friends. Women promote for me. They they who call me, I call them. And I used to say, like, if Carmen was a promoter of mine, I would text Carmen if she knows she got to put out flyers today because of how she look and how she carry herself. I say, girl, get your pretty ass up and go put them flyers out. And then my girl would wake up and see me inboxing them that, wake your pretty ass up. Why you telling them that? Like, that's how I talk to them. They know I'm just DJ Black. They don't want me. I don't want them. We've been working together for 6-7 years. But when she's seen those text messages, good morning, beautiful, or hey, sexy, get your sexy ass up.
Yeah, because then you're starting to paint a visual picture of how you see them. So,
yeah, and that's how I communicated with them to get things done. If somebody wore tight clothes all the time, I know they want to be fine. So I'll say, get your fine ass up. Somebody wore makeup and got her hair done all the time, I'm gonna say, get your pretty ass up. I played on their insecurity.
Yeah, but those aren't their insecurities. That's the way that they carry themselves. So you were actually
perceive them.
Yeah, and how you perceive them.
Right. So she had that talk with me, was like, you're going to have to find another way to talk to them. Because if I say, when she wake up and I say, good morning, beautiful, she's like, yeah, that's the same shit you just told that bitch that was that you DM. And I was like, damn. So you've been through my phone. You know, but now the phone was going off. Get my glasses.
Yeah, that's a little different. I also have dated DJs and they say whatever on the mic, but they're not saying things like that to women while they were dating me. So you could say whatever at the job, you know, do whatever in your music, do whatever. But how are you speaking with these people? Because I'm not going to put it on the women. I'm always going to look at my spouse.
Right. And that's what I had to learn. Because my thing was, I know we don't want each other. So I felt like that communication was cool with us. Get your pretty ass up.
And,
you know
and
what I'm saying?
and here's another thing that people don't look at when they're accepting a long-term relationship or looking at going into a long-term relationship. You have to look at every aspect of what that person does or don't do, and you have to be okay with them not ever changing.
Yeah.
And if you can't say that I'm going to be okay with you exactly where you are right now, then you should not pursue a long-term relationship with that person, especially
I
marriage.
agree. I agree. And that's one thing I'm always saying to people. I'm not big on complaining. So I'm not really the friend that people come with the stories and then we're going to talk about this over and over again. I'm more of a solutions-based type person. So if we're going to talk about this is the issue I'm having with Mr. Charles or whoever, this is the issue I'm having with Mr. Charles. Well, okay, Mr. Charles was this way when you met him. And if nothing changes, if everything stays exactly the same, would you want to continue on like this? Because what you're talking about is his personality, how he is, or whatever. There's some things that you can compromise on, but you can't come into a situation expecting to change someone
Right.
for your
Well, yeah, that was me. And I had a hellified attitude when we first met because, you know, I was all about me because I never been in a serious relationship. So it was just all about me. And when if she would have came at me wrong, we probably wouldn't be together. But she said we need to talk. And I hate when a woman say we need to talk. So when she said we need to talk, I was like, okay. So when she broke it down, and at first I was like, this is my job. This is what I do. I was doing this before I met you. It's paying the bills. I'm making money. So, you know, what's up? But then I had to look at what I was saying. And it took another DJ friend of mine. We three-wayed him, a partner of mine named Jeff. And while I was talking to Jeff, I thought he was going to take my side because me and Jeff go way back. And I said, man, okay, chick inboxed me. She was in the club. She inboxed me. She said she was from, I want to say Monroe or something, Louisiana. She hit me up and she said, I like the way you DJ. And I see her on the floor, you know, dancing all the time. So my compliment was, because she complimented me, I said, I like the way you dance.
Move.
And she said, okay, well, can you play this song or whatever for me? And I was like, sure. You know, for me and my friends, I said, sure. So somehow this girl knew my girl's sister and showed her the text messages. And of us saying, I like the way you DJ and I like the way you dance. So my girl thought I like the way you dance was me flirting with the girl, but I wasn't. So I called my DJ friend and was like, do you see this as that? And he broke it down to me that when you're in a serious relationship, that is not what we think. It's what that female thinks. It's what your significant other thinks. And I didn't see it like that, but he broke it down and I thought he was going to take my side. I was kind of mad.
Well, I'm glad you were open to hearing her out and even the other DJ guy, hearing them out and being open to change. So that was really good of you to be open and listening to her concerns instead of just blowing them off.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of guys say, well, I hate to hear when my wife or girlfriend says we need to talk. And I'm okay with that because that means that we're able to communicate. And because I'd rather you talk to me about a situation than act out on a situation. Hey, I ain't seen you
Hey,
in about
Chanel,
40,
what's
50,
happening?
70 years,
This is
girl. How you
stranger.
doing?
This is the stranger danger.
Yeah. I'm not dangerous. I mean, unless you want me to be. But
Yeah, you dangerous now. But how you doing? How you
good.
been? What's been up?
Man, trying to get all the business stuff together. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
what I need you to do too is log in under the admin. Because if I have to go, I want you to close it out. So go back out and come back in under admin.
Okay.
Because I got to go pick my brother up at the airport. I'm actually in the car now.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
out and then log back in there.
and Carmen, Austin matured a whole lot faster than I did because I stayed single forever. And I wasn't thinking about marriage because I seen too many of my peers, family, friends fail at marriage. And so that wasn't something I wanted. I wanted to, just do me, where we don't have no serious, ties. And when you say, well, I'm tired of you or it's just not working, I'm like, cool. And shit, another 3 days, give me 3 days, get over you, if that, 2 weeks, and I'm back doing me, ain't no big deal. And that's how I wanted to live. I didn't want that relationship because I just didn't, too many trust issues and I seen too much growing up. And so when this one came to me wanting to talk, and my first mind was, ain't nothing to talk about. I've been doing this. This is what it is. I'm freaking DJ Black and it is what it is. I was just like, there's nothing you can say to me. And I had to get over that. And I had to grow into that. And like Austin said, he's glad that when his women come to him and say, let's talk, because, that shows that she's willing to work with you on what you have going on. I didn't see that. All I saw was, I'm doing me. I've been doing this. I ain't gonna mess up because I know me. You know what I'm saying? But when you're dealing with another person, they don't know that, especially if they're coming out of a relationship that they were hurt in. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't seeing none of that. So it took me a minute to get where Austin was, but I had to finally get there. But it took me talking to my DJ friend that said, hey, man, when them women in those relationships and y'all serious like that, they're going to question. And if you don't respect her, you can't expect nobody, outside of y'all to respect her. So you have to respect her. And I was like, man, I know I ain't going to do nothing. You know I ain't going to do nothing. I'm just on the mic. I'm just complimenting her, But he was like, if she don't like that, it's not what you think. If you're going to be with her, I have to honor what she thinks and how she feels. And I was like, damn, nigga, you simping out. But I had to, come to reality that once you're in a relationship, it's just not about you anymore. And it took my uncle, who actually married us, to break that down. He said that we, that me turned to us, and I was like, wow, he just broke it down because the second week of being married, I was ready to get out that joker. You feel me? But we had one little splat, and I was like, man, I ain't got time for this. I don't need this. I know, I have options, but he was like, man, if you don't sit your ass down, and this the preacher talking to me now.
Be like that.
And he broke it down to me becoming a leader, what I'm saying? He had to break it down to me. And I was like, okay. But it took a minute, man. It was a minute. And when you done been single and taking care of yourself, running your own business, on top of the world, making over $100,000 a year by yourself, you really feel like you don't need nobody. Why are you even here? You know what I'm saying? And that was my attitude at first, and, I had to mature. And Austin would talk to me every now and then, and I'll still be on my, man, I'm finna go here, man. I got this one, man. I'm finna send you this picture. Yo, man, I got this. And he was like, man, when you gonna get out of there? You know, when you gonna get out of there, man? And I was like, man, but that was the lifestyle because I'm in the clubs. I'm seeing the hood rats. I'm seeing the sexy reds easily giving it up. And I'm like, man, shoot, you know what I'm saying? And they invited me to them parties. They invited me over to their houses. They invited me to those picnics. They're getting me to DJ them while they're feeding me and giving me liquor. And I'm like, shoot, this what's up.
Mm-hmm. So do you think at some point did you naturally, because I know you said that somebody talked to you about it, but do you feel like over time you naturally became uninterested in those things at any point?
I had trust issues. And so I wasn't never going to settle down per se.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to have I always say my pick 3,
mm-hmm.
you know, and chill.
And where your trust issues?
I didn't think I was going to do that, but it took the only reason
you had a good upbringing. So where did your trust issues come from?
My trust issues came from all of my partners. Okay, like I told y'all, I knew this guy, my mentor actually, his wife, they got a house built, used their GI bills and all that stuff. They got a house built, 2-story, you know what I'm saying, 3-story house or whatever in Houston. And we thought they had the best relationship in the, you know what I'm saying, that you ever want to see. And then we went down there one time on a visit. I think it was like New Year's Eve. We all went down there. And they got into an argument. He hit the door. You know, she slammed the door and locked it, you know, the bedroom door. He hit the door and put a dent in the door. She called the police. They removed him from the house. And we had to stay there because he was going to somebody who didn't have room for all of us. It was like 4 of us. So we stayed there till the next morning to go home. And when he went by the house after we left that morning, he said he went by the house. She had changed the damn locks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, hell no. I think that was the thing that messed me up. And I was like maybe 21, 23 at that time. And that messed my mental all the way up. So I was messed up from being, you know what I'm saying, pretty much on, because they played that we're so in love role whenever we were around them. I'm talking about he couldn't breathe. She laying all on his shoulder and, you know, all that crap. And I'm like, come on, man, we trying to chill today. Why she all up on him like that? You know, and, you know, we just thought that they were the relationship that we wanted to be like. If you get in a relationship, you want that love like them. And when they crumbled, I ain't want to be in no relationship. So I was like,
so that's the first problem was y'all idolizing the relationship that you think you see, right? Which is what like some people do on social media. You know, oh, I want to be like them, I want to be like them, but you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. And then and I'm sure y'all covered some of what I'm about to say here with all the other stuff that y'all talked about. But like Black, you was talking about, like, I didn't understand how, you know, well, she don't trust this behavior, she don't trust that behavior and all that kind of stuff. Just like you idolized that relationship, and then when it crumbled, it affected your whole beingness to the point that you didn't trust nobody, and so you was just out here doing what you do, right? Well, if I'm a little girl and my daddy either is not there, or he's abusive, or he's not treating my mama well, or whatever it is, right? And all of us have an imagined in our head fantasy of what we think what our relationship should be and what look like and what we want and all that good stuff, right? Be it through social media, be it through television, movies, whatever it is, or some examples, right? You know, grandparents and such, right? You know, so we have this image of what we want it to look like and what we want it to be. I feel like that daddy issues come in when, you know, the image that I have in my head, you know, doesn't match what my reality is, right? So either my mom and dad were doing well and everything was gravy, but he didn't take care of me in the way that I needed to be taken care of, or he was emotionally unavailable, or whatever, because daddy issues come in all shapes and sizes, right? You know, there are some women who have had their daddies there their entire lives, but they just didn't have good relationships, you know. Some of them, you know, had their daddies there and they have great relationships, but not the one that they want, you know. and stuff like that. So when your need is not getting met from the first man in your life, right, then that's going to affect how you interact with men for the rest of your life, right, until you heal from the parts that are broken, you know. And again, it comes in all shapes and sizes, you know. It comes in cleanliness, and it also can come in, I don't want to be bothered with nobody, you know. It could come in, you know, promiscuity, or it could come in, I don't want to sleep with nothing and nobody, you know. So anywhere on that spectrum, you know, is like open and available and all that, until she, and usually through a relationship, because relationships teach us things, right? Until she, through that relationship, by the way, because boy, dudes got daddy issues too, and all, and that affects how they navigate relationships as well, and all that. So she starts navigating relationships through that until she figures out where the hole is and figures out how to heal that thing, right? Once you figure out where the hole is, then you nurture that thing yourself, and you learn what you need, and you start taking care of yourself in that regard, or in the least being around other people who can take care of, help you to take care of that. Then once your healing process is starting and going on and going on and going on, then you can have more healthy relationships. But until then, you still kind of just, you know, you don't trust the people until somebody shows you otherwise. All we know is what we see.
Right. And we can get caught up in that and be the worst mistake we ever made.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that almost happened to me, because I was like, if my mentor went down like this, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't trust nothing. I was like, man, I had trust issues. And then if karma, you know, and karma being real, you know what I'm saying? And I know what I've done.
What you done? It's gonna come back to you. That's not necessarily come back to you in that way, right? You know, because again, karma don't necessarily work like, oh, I do this exact thing, I steal something from somebody gonna steal something from me. It don't necessarily work exactly like that, right? You're gonna pay the karmic restitution in some kind of way, but it might not be in the exact same fashion. You know?
Right.
So,
and you know, and that's why I never dealt with role models.
It's dangerous.
You know,
I mean,
having role models can be dangerous, especially if you idolize someone that is not within your immediate, you know, if you're idolizing basketball players, football players.
Yeah, we talk about all the time. It's not really, I don't say role models. It's just that you have some people that you admire. Just like, let's just say you have a nice lifestyle, a wife that respects you, and you know, you guys just love each other to death. It's somebody out there that say, hey, I wouldn't mind having a wife like Austin has, or I wouldn't mind having a man like Austin has. They seem like they are a good couple. They're not idolizing you guys, they're admiring you guys, and they wouldn't mind having that type of fun. Y'all have fun. You do the TikToks, you joke, you clown, and then they got a man that just, once you turn 30, you supposed to be serious as shit. You know, hey, I don't do that no more. I don't play no games. You know, get away with that.
What they're admiring is what they visualize as happiness or whatever, or something.
But
they don't understand. I mean, you know, they don't understand what it took for my wife and I to appear
to get
this
to
way.
that,
to get to that, or to appear what they want to visualize, because what they're visualizing is something that they're missing, or something that they feel that they're missing.
Exactly. And so they're visualizing that
the hole that you're trying to fill.
Right. And that's what they want. And so that, you know, so it's not that they're idolizing them, they just admire their relationship.
Yeah. But I think, look at the differences in those, right? Because, you know, you're thinking of idol worship, like, you know, and all that. And I think if I was to take those two words and separate them out between admiring and idolizing, if I was to even use that same situation, if I'm idolizing that relationship, then I'm looking at it in the perfect parts of it, right? And I'm far away from it, like you said, I'm not within reach and all that. I'm just looking at all of the things from the outside that speak to the part in me that's missing or what I want, right? So, but admiring should very well be somebody you can connect to that you are within reach of.
Exactly. Not no celebrity.
Then you're willing to go because that's okay for you to be like, I would like to have something like that. That's absolutely okay. Like, but then you go talk to that person and say, so how you made your relationship look so good?
Right.
What does it really look like? What does all of it look like? That's when you sit down with the grandparents that's been together for 150 years and you're like, how y'all stay together for real? And they'll tell you for 2 years we ain't talk at all because I couldn't stand him, but we made it through.
And this I was watching this group, this marriage counseling group or whatever.
Mhm.
And the lady and one of the ladies and one of the men on there, they had been together for like 60 years.
Mhm.
And they asked them, well, how did you all make your relationship last for so long?
Yeah, he had to
And
cheat. He was cheating.
that's what she said. We
But
cheated.
yeah, you got to cheat. That's what TK Soul said. And if
This
TK Soul said it, that's in stone.
True.
But so what works for some people won't work for others.
Hell
So
no, because you
yeah,
call yourself cheating on me, that's a wrap.
right,
If
right.
you
So yeah, so you have to understand who you're admiring, who you're getting advice from, because what you're actually seeing may not be
It works for them.
actually
right. And
reality
when you hear
for
that
you.
though, you still can admire their end result, but you don't have to go the route they went to get it.
Right. Yeah, you can
I
be
just
like,
want the
well,
end result. Well,
yeah, you
he
can like
cheated. Well, I don't want to get it through
tell me
cheating.
the other part that worked for y'all, not that one.
Yeah, don't tell me that.
Yeah, that one don't work for me. So, you know, but again,
Mhm.
back to the daddy issues with women and men. We might as well throw men in there too because they have
Yeah.
those issues.
And I
So,
wish George would have went on, came through. He was trying to come through, but something came up because he had daddy issues, and I
He
wanted
did.
him to kind of break it down. Even though we were talking about females with the daddy issues, I wanted him to touch on his, so we can get it out there because his daddy is sons with mother issues, daughters with mother issues, daughters
Yeah.
with daddy issues, and daddy and sons with daddy issues. It's not just a one-way street. This is a four-way, thing.
Right.
yeah, and I never understood how people had those type of issues, and it's probably because I rejected a lot of stuff when I was growing up,
Yeah.
and I challenged the things that I was seeing
Mhm.
as status quo.
Right.
So that's why I did not fall into having those type of issues or concerns, although I did not have the ideal lifestyle, not lifestyle, ideal upbringing, you know.
5, 6, 7, 8.
So but I was able
Just
to reject a lot of those negative images and negative things that I saw.
Right. Right. Do you think, because you told us a bit about you and mom and that relationship with her dude and all that. Even though you rejected much of that stuff, do you agree that it did affect you in some sort of way? Just you was able to manage it in a lot better fashion than most.
Well, I would say that I was able to manage it better than most.
Mhm.
And because it had an effect on me, whether positive or negative,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
So whatever the negative piece was, I was able to manage that. But
Mhm.
you know, I I cannot blame my failed relationships
Right.
on my
Mhm.
mother or my upbringing because I chose to do things as an adult
That's right.
that led to my failed relationships.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people, they're trying to shift the blame
Blame.
and
Yeah.
not take the responsibility of what they do,
Hmm.
and shift it on their upbringing or what they felt that they didn't receive as a child.
Right. Right. You know, and not that those things are not true though, right? Because if I don't get what I need from my parents, then I'm going to yearn for it. It's going to affect how I enter into relationships. But that's why it's important to have these kind of conversations so people can have awareness, right? A lot of what I do with people in therapy is like helping them with awareness. Like, oh, damn, that's where the hell I come from. That's why I do that. Okay, well, let's flip that. Let's fix that. You know, what am I missing? Okay, how do I nurture that part of myself and all that? And that way I'm not yearning for that thing anymore because I've learned how to give it to myself in an appropriate way and all that. So it's going to, like you said, the blame game is not where it's at.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people err at. With if you're not able to identify those things, not seeking the help to identify those things. But you know, I was always curious with everything, so I was curious about what made me work.
I like that.
You know, so I was able to identify those things that would affect me or that were affecting me in my life.
Okay, makes sense.
You know, and a lot of people don't take that hard look at themselves and say, you know, this was an issue that could have caused me to have these issues, but I am going to reject those things
right
and turn away from that to be positive in what I'm doing. You know, a lot of and I understand that traumatic experiences can cause you to have a negative impact on your life, like turning to drugs and those type of things to escape reality. But again, those are choices that you make because there are other outlets that you have available to you that can be a positive versus being that negative. You know.
Yeah. So
add on to that, I know I missed a little bit with the technical difficulties, but I'm so glad you're on and I get to chat with you again. I read something the other day that at first I was shocked, but then it made so much sense. So it lines up with what Austin just said. It said that 80% of people lack self-awareness. And I thought the number is extremely high. This can't be correct.
Pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate because even when people come into therapy, they come in with one thing, right? Whether it's one big crisis or a transition or something that's just making them feel like something ain't right, you know, a breakup or whatever it is, some catastrophic event, and then they step into therapy. I need help with this thing. I need help to get over that, right? And stuff like that. When you start digging, you know, and digging and digging and digging, then you start finding out like that was only a result of this other junk, right? This other junk that I chose. Okay, so we shouldn't have been together to begin with because I'm operating in a pattern of behavior that's like my parents or like my mother treated me or like my dad treated me or based upon what I didn't get. So I ignored all the things about this person that wasn't good for me just to get the thing that made me feel good because I was missing it.
So before you came on, I was trying to tell the guys that although we can say daddy issues for some women, same thing applies to a lot of men, but a lot of people don't realize that's what's going on. They're just here through life, but have no idea that is why. So it's not that people are just out here automatically knowing my dad. So that's why I'm acting this way.
Somebody have to show you that connection. Somebody has to teach that thing, right? And I mentioned the same thing like you did. Like it's a matter of, you know, men also have those issues, right? And I remember looking at that even before I became a therapist and was licensed, all that stuff or whatever, because I always been into the mind, emotional, and all that stuff. I would look at my brother. My brother is a nice guy. Like he's a good guy. And so it always has been. And he would attract these girls. And he was kind and he was wonderful. He was a good guy. He would always get messed over and over and over again. Right. And so throughout life, you know, I meet a few, you know, nice guys here, nice guys there, whatever. And you know the term, the nice guys finish last. Right. And stuff like that. But I started evaluating the like it can't. I know all guys ain't hoes, right? Everybody not going to stick their penis in whatever they can find. Not all of them. A lot of them, but not all of them, right? What makes this guy different from that guy, right? It definitely because my brother wasn't handsome, because he's a handsome fella, you know, and stuff like that. But it's a matter of the issues, right? Guys who are promiscuous also have issues. And I know people think it's the primal thing and we should, you know, procreate, blah, 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 all that good stuff. That's great. However, if you were made in such a way that you had to do it, both of these guys would still be doing it, right? People would not be able to settle down with one person and just be with that one person, so that people are capable, right? Most guys that are promiscuous and hitting it and quitting it, they're doing that to block the feelings and all that. So sometimes when they get with a girl and they spend time with her, they hitting it and all that, but they're starting to fall for her like it sneak up on them, right? I don't know what to do with that. Because I've been using sex just like people use drugs and they use work as an addictive component to make me feel good. This is how I get physical touch. This is how I do feel intimacy, even though I'm not going to show it, but I'm feeling closeness. This is the only way I can feel closeness with somebody, is to just have hot sex. Not understanding that intimacy is way more than just that physical interaction, right? But a lot of times it's because I don't know, as a man, I don't know how to deal with my feelings. I don't say that my feelings are hurt. I don't talk about my disappointments or nothing like that, you know, and plus sex give off lots of great hormones in the brain, so it makes you feel fantastic, right? And all that. So it's an easy drug to get addicted to. You know?
And that was my problem with the one I had that had the daddy issues and mommy issues. All she wanted to do was sex 24 freaking 7. And I'm like, it's more to me than that. You know what I'm saying? You know, but then, because when I met her, even my mom knew that she wasn't right. She was like, are you sure that she's your person?
Yeah.
He was like, because she seems to me like she's very needy. And you're not that type of person. You know, She needed me to tell her her hair was nice. She looked good when she put on anything. She put on some new boots. I was supposed to notice the boots. She put on some eyeliner. I was supposed to notice she got eyeliner on. And I was supposed to compliment her 24/7. And that wasn't me.
She was using all the external validation.
It also sounds like maybe just the two of you weren't compatible.
At all.
That's
at
true.
all.
I think
and we had some great
great at showing all that extra affection. That's what she need to be with.
Right. But what we were looking at, we got along real good. You know, everything aligned per se, but we wasn't compatible at all. But we was gonna make it work because of how we met, and you know, we just thought it'll be, you know, ain't nobody perfect. So you figure you get in these relationships knowing that no one's perfect and what you could adjust to and what you can't, you know. But as you taught me, Chanel, deal breakers. At that point, I was just out there. I didn't know what a deal breaker was. I just know I ain't gonna have nobody making me look like no fool. That was the only deal breaker to me at the time. It wasn't I can't tolerate this. I'm not gonna tolerate that. It wasn't that. I just like, as long as you don't mess around, we can make this thing work. You know what I'm saying? But it just didn't happen. It didn't happen like that, because I'm talking about, as soon as my mom met her and talked to her, she pulled me to the side. I think either the next day or while we were there getting ready to leave. Are you sure she your person? Because she sounds like to me that she's, you know, she needs a lot of compliments and reassuring, and you don't do too much of that. And I was like, yeah, I can just do that, you know, for her, you know. But every now and then when I forget to do it, it was a problem. If I didn't say it, somebody on the job said it. She come telling me, even the guy at the job noticed my hair and you didn't say nothing about it. I'm like,
wherever she could get it.
You know,
that's what you need to be with.
You know, and then going back to something that you were saying earlier about, you know, promiscuity.
That's all she wanted,
if,
man.
like if you are exposed to deaths and murders and whatever else, you can become desensitized.
Yes.
So if you're having a lot of sex, then you could be desensitized to the feelings or emotions that are tied into sex, or it just becomes an action.
Right.
You know,
And that's
and a lot of people don't see that side of being promiscuous.
Yeah, man. I'm talking about nothing. I can't sit and talk about nothing without that. And I'm like, we just did that 4 times yesterday. Why I gotta do it again today?
Yeah.
You know, you ain't gonna kill me, you know. I mean, I know I'm good. Don't get me wrong. I know it's hard to find good, you know. I know this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not down and not knocking myself at all. But that many times, you know. But yeah, but that and I came from her not feeling the love that she needed from her parents.
You know, but again, that gets confused because sex doesn't equate to the love that you're supposed to be receiving from your
Just like
parents.
Chanel said, it gives off so much that you'll be amazed. And like Chanel said on a previous podcast, being inside of someone is the closest you can get to them. And it's so much that can transpire from that. It just depends on that person. Like me, and we're gonna have this conversation, and I want George and Chanel. A woman cheating is not the same as a man cheating. And that's why men have more problems with their woman cheating than a woman have with their man. It's messed up on both sides, but women are more emotional creatures than a man. A man can run off and sleep with 5 women in 3 days, and he ain't leaving his wife. But if that woman, a real woman, before she give it up, she gonna have to like that guy. She gonna have to feel comfortable with that guy, secure with that guy. A lot of times.
Yeah, y'all can believe that myth if you want to.
All right. A woman, even if 9 times out of 10, if a woman mess over you, she like the guy she messing with.
Not
we'll mess with somebody we can't stand. We'll hit her just because we can't stand.
And they will too. And they will too.
I mean, it's an exception, but a lot of times women we don't care.
You know, yeah. I mean,
a lot of times guys don't care. She getting on my nerves. She getting on my nerves.
And there are a number of women that are doing that also. They don't be looking for I'm just in love with this guy and blase. They can knock off one dude. They can knock off one dude, and the next day knock off another. They don't. A lot. That has always been for me. That's always been a myth.
I agree with you
because that has just fallen true for me.
Right, I agree with you, but on the same note, like Chris Rock said, he say, "Ain't nobody trying to steal your woman, but a woman would steal your man. Ain't nobody really trying to steal your woman. They'll fuck her good. They'll fuck her better than you.
And again, that's still not true. And I'm gonna say this because it was my experience. I've slept with a few married women. I slept with a few married women in my past, and they didn't fall in love with me, and I didn't fall in love with them. They knew what we were there for.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, a lot of times they'll tell you that they know what they're there for. Because I've had that situation where she knew she was just a plaything, but they start catching feelings. Well, but plus you got to look at it the way I put it down. So a lot of times I have to be like, I'm gonna go in here and you do a terrible job and hope they don't want me again, you know. But yeah, I mean, that was my issue because I always laid it, you know what I'm saying?
Chemicals in the brain that pop off during orgasm and all that are very powerful.
And a lot of women not getting orgasms. That was my problem too. So if I know where to touch and how, and then they getting these and they not getting them with their men, they would often want more from me, you know.
You understand when you can't run around giving women orgasms who have not had orgasms before and think they're not gonna stick around.
Right, and that was my problem. And that's why I don't even, and to be honest with you, that's why I really said messing around, you find your person, be with your person. All this messing around, especially today, because good relationships are hard to find, good men are hard to find, women are not being satisfied. And if you're going to jump your tail up there satisfying and trying to be a good man to her, opening doors, taking her out to eat and giving her money for this and that, man, look, today, you setting yourself up for, man, that is just not the thing to do. I don't play with people's emotions anymore. That shit is so played out with me.
And back in the day, I was that chivalrous person, but I was just as deadly as the next hoe on the block, because I knew how to.
I think more deadly because you were
I knew how to deal with women and play on their emotions and their likes and their insecurities and their securities. So and I learned a person even before I started messing with them. Even for that one night, I try to learn and capture certain things about them so I can appeal to those things.
Which, Chanel, once again, I'm glad you're here because this is another thought that I'm having. How do you feel about this statement? Running game is actually emotional and mental abuse.
It is. Let's be real about that. Just like they just described. What Austin just described is dangerous because you're going to show me all the things that, people say is what you're supposed to be looking for, right? Is he open the door for you? Is he kind? Is he understand? Does he listen? They're like, you're looking for all the signs, but he done studied you. He done figured out, what where your insecurities are so he can pump that up and feed that, right? And all that. But he had zero interest. No more interest in a dude that just kept calling you down the street. He just invested more in the pregame, you know what I'm saying? And stuff, and figured out what that is the most. that's running game, and you playing with people's emotions, right?
That's why I said I cut that out because I saw how dangerous it was.
All good stuff. Now you're confused. So what am I looking for now? How do I know when the red flags appear? When he did all the great things, he did all the stuff. He still walked away. He still got it and left, and stuff. So now what am I looking for? So I'm confused completely. And I can pile on top of that if I didn't have a daddy to show me the difference to begin with. So it's just a dangerous game to play. It's a very
and that's why I got out of it, because I was like, when you actually see them hurt, when you get older, you start looking at, the hurt, and at first I was like, I'm just doing me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but then that hurt.
Getting harmed. Other people's getting hurt.
Yeah. I saw the harm that I was doing, because and like I say, we supposed to understood that this is what it is. But with me popping up with pizza and feeding the kids and going to the fair, and all that stuff.
I never got kids involved though. That's one thing I never did. I didn't play the family.
Stop playing. You feeding kids and everything? Yeah. Got her all twisted up in the game, thinking that you give a damn, but you don't. And those behaviors were because of your own trauma, the stuff that you went through, that you stopped trusting people. And so your heart became, I need to just take care of me, without regard to who I hurt, how I damage anybody else or anything like that. It don't matter. The fact is, hurt people hurt other people. We are all victims.
And so that's a lot. I'm talking about, I'm over there late at night, heart thumping, knowing I need to be at home. Man, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I just was like, and then when that person come crying to you, saying, I know everything about her, she know nothing about me. And then the kids start getting attached to you. Man, it was crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever gone back and apologized to any of them people? You heard?
I mean, if they watched the show, I did. But other than that,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I apologize to my ex-wife, you know, and the things that I did to damage and ruin that marriage, you know. But other than that, nah. Like I said, unless they watch the show.
And this is, although I'm hearing the guys, but also having on the other end, just to know this is something that could have ruined someone's life, like totally crushed them, totally destroyed their self-worth. You're talking about it like it's nothing. So
it's casual, yeah. And that's why I asked about the apology, right? Because and I thought about the apology because the guy that I messed with, like straight, I was in college, I was like 19 or so. You know, he messed with me real bad, right? I'm young, I'm personal, I do have mama and daddy issues, you know, I'm a runner, so I run out of town whenever I can and stuff like that. And he messed over me really bad and stuff. But about 5 years old. About 5 years ago, like he found me to apologize, you know. And of course, I had forgiven him already because I couldn't move forward if I didn't, you know, I had to let all the things go and all that stuff. So I've been looking for you since 2010, and I'm like, for what, you know? Finally caught up to me. We talked or whatever. And he was like, I just felt like I needed to apologize because when I look back at my life and realize how great of a person you are, and that I messed over you, right? Just because I wasn't ready for the same things you was ready for, and you know I was very immature, et cetera, right, and all that. And I was like, well, I mean, I already have forgiven you, but thank you for doing. I didn't know I needed to hear it. I didn't know it did wonders for my heart for him to have grown up. Because the whole time he was trying to contact me and stuff, he would find me on LinkedIn, this and that. I'm like, what do this nigga want? You know, because in my head, all I know is who he was, right? So in my head, he's trying to flirt again, you know, 25, 30 years later, right? And stuff like that, you know. But for him to come and apologize was very honorable. Yeah. Now I don't know what else triggered it. He could have got sick. Anything could cause you to turn on the light and be like, you know what? I need to make amends for the things that I've done to people, right? And like you said, but for it to be so casual and I used to do this and that, and then that's a wrap. Like, no, like that deeply scars people, right? Yeah. And then we have conversations like on this phone, we have conversations about women who do this and women who do that and women who do that. Right. But it's because of that junk. Yeah. It's because they just been run over and messed over and all that kind of stuff, you know. And when I sent Black a message to ask him about whether we had a subject for this week, because I've been following the trending thing about, you know, if would you rather be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear, right? Mm-hmm. And stuff. And definitely a full discussion worth of that. The fact that most women would rather be in the woods with a bear than a man tells you of how horrible the relations are between men and women and how we walk around afraid to just live. Yeah. Just live.
So are those fears perceived or are they reality? Because the reason that I asked that, and the reason that I asked that is because a lot of women haven't had these experiences. So they're hearing these experiences or learning about these experiences from other women. So that's why I say, is it perceived or is it true reality? And
it's definitely a true reality for me. I have a lot of firsthand experience with awkward guys, sexual harassment on the job, things they think are compliments, and I'm just trying to show you some love, is actually sexual harassment. So for me and the women that I know, it's a reality, and it's a reality that is constantly downplayed and made to seem like it's not a big deal. And so I, for one, I would choose a whole family of bears before one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, me personally, I would just choose the right woman.
Children, it's a reality for my mother. It was a reality for my grandmother. It's a reality for my friends. Everybody around me, even if I had never experienced it. if 90% of the women around me have the experience, then I assume that that's the norm, right? And then most of our families, like we come from families and generations upon generations where the predator is in the house, right? The person who disrespects or disregards or touches inappropriate or makes you feel uncomfortable or sexualizes you, you know, is right in your household and in your family, right? So that's just norm. That's just the norm.
You know, and I understand what you all are saying, and I can really sympathize and empathize with what you're stating also. And also speaking from a male perspective, uh, you know, sometimes we go through those same things also. Not as much or not as often, but we do experience those things. Um, you know, so it can come from both sides. But
sides. I just feel that because something is not a single man's, like your personal experience, if you aren't out here groping and grabbing women, you just feel like no one is, or maybe it's not a big deal.
Minimal people are.
No, I mean I've seen it and I've said things about it. You know, man, why you do that? Because I'm trying to understand why do you act like that? Why do you say stuff to women like that? Why is that the thing? And I try to get an understanding of that. And you know, the answer that I get is I'm just being a man. Okay, no, that's not just being a man. You know, that's not just being a man. And you know, so I've had those conversations and I've been looked at as like you just a woman sympathizer. No, no, not just that, because I mean I know the things that I used to do, but then you go back and you realize that those things that you used to do weren't good things. Now, one thing that I can say is that women that I did deal with in the past, I do not think that they would hesitate on getting back in a relationship with me. And the the reason that I say that is, I mean, it's come up before and it's happened before, and I even married to someone now that I was in a relationship with in the past. But so those relationships that I was in, they were emotionally and traumatic, having a emotional and traumatic afterwards. Really, you know what I'm saying? So after we broke up, you realize the emotional damage that they would have taken on, or the traumatic experiences they would have taken on emotionally. But there were a number of good things that I built in that relationship through doing those things that I did to gain their trust and their, you know, whatever. Not that I'm trying to say that to discredit all of the bad that I did in the relationship or the damage that I did in the relationship, but whoever I dealt with, I attempted to elevate in a number of ways. So, you know, but
you're still pouring in, even though, you know, the intention might not have been to stay with that person, because I remember you saying you had a time clock,
right?
You know, and stuff like that. But you still treated her well while in that relationship, so it wasn't like I'm just gonna clean mess over you kind of situation, right? And that still is honorable, right? Because even in bad relationships, there's something to be learned, right?
Right.
Stuff like that. And so, like, I'm glad that you did, you know, pour into the person that you're with, you know. But like I said, like, and my brother's the same way, you know. But he's gotten, excuse me, hurt to the extent that, like, you know, like he's in so much, he's, you know, been in so much pain even after his marriage and all that stuff. Like, you know, but he and I sat and talked about when he was going through his divorce, you know, we sat and talked about, you know, our upbringing and how we turned out to be who we are, right? He recognized that part of his trauma was mama trauma because he was trying to save my mama. right? Through these relationships, right? Is that I always end up with a single mom. And because he watched my mama not be loved in the way that she needed to be loved. So in his adult life, he decided he was going to offer that to the women in his life. So he would, like I say, he would be with women who had a kid or was, and he's like, I was trying to save mama. I was loving mama through these relationships, right? But because that was the goal, right? I needed to help her heal. When she healed, they walked away. Every one of them, once they allowed him to help fix him up and make him feel good. But once they got that confidence back and he was feeling good, he wasn't the one they wanted to be with, right? And so he had to kind of fix that in his brain. But it took for him to go back and look at how we were brought up, right? And discovered kind of like, my take from my mother. I was trying not to be my mama, and he was trying to save my mama. We both said my sister likely turned into more of my mama, and stuff. So 3 different experiences, but all 3 traumatic, and it affected how we do relationship, it affected how we do life, but I think once we discover it and talk about it and catch those patterns and, and again, taking care of our own inner child and our own inner self and all that, then we can have more healthy relationships.
And I have a 8-month-old daughter, and it's a blessing and a curse because I know what I was right before the now me,
right?
And I'm so afraid that she would meet that before now, So I pray to God that He allows me to stick around, to help ward off those things that she may come against, and I try to teach my boys, don't sleep around like that, because what it does, it affects your emotions or your ability to have emotions and identify your true emotions. So reserve yourself for those people that are true to your heart.
Right. And some you said a minute ago too, like that bear and a man question, women were posing it to their husbands with regard to their daughters. They had the same reaction, same response. I'll take the chance with the bear, or they was trying to get all this, like, what kind of man? And that's the point, is that you don't know what kind of man that you're dealing with until you know, right? And often you don't know until it's too late, right? And I think a lot of people were misconstruing the whole premise, because I saw a lot of comeback videos, and stuff like that, with the understanding that I know a bear gonna be a bear every day, every day, and there are a few outcomes that I can expect, but I would rather deal with those outcomes than the unknowing that this could be a nice guy, but he could also cause me trauma that I'm gonna have to live with the rest of my life, and I'm not willing to do that. I'd rather die by the hands of a bear, right? But men were saying the same thing about their daughters when they was like, would you rather your daughter be in the woods with a man or a bear? And it was like, I'll take my chances on the bear too.
And I would agree with that,
because I open at because I like it there, but there are a lot of people who are like, rebutting it, but there are a lot of men who get it, right? And all that. I'm just hoping that things like that are helping people to open their eyes and helping men who are that way to like understand the impact that is.
But the first thing is they have to understand why they're that way. They've been told for years and years and years, and it's been driven into them, that this is what a man looks like, and that is still antiquated ways of thinking. That should not be hold true to this day. So until they can change that way of thinking, then things will never change. That'll always be the same, because just like racism wouldn't exist if it wasn't just passed down and passed down and passed down and keep being taught. So we wouldn't
Right.
have that. So
Right.
sexualizing women in a negative way wouldn't
Right.
be, okay if it wasn't still taught.
Yeah.
I've come to that conclusion a few years ago. I realized that it's easier for me to speak with my children and try to help them to do different and see things different than trying to talk to a fully grown man and change one who's thought this way for his whole
For a long
entire
time. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's hard
But
to reprogram yourself. It's very
and
hard.
then again, now with social media and all of those things, with the images that they see every day, that they're taking in every day, and seeing women, s- you know, display themselves.
Yeah.
So then they start to think, well, okay, there's all these women that do this, then most women are like this, rather than most women aren't like this.
Like that. Right. Mm-hmm.
They have the opposite thinking.
Right.
So, you know, a, 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 I hate to say it, but a lot of the bad women are projecting these things, which are causing good women to catch a lot of hell.
This is true. I mean, I think there's some truth to that. Um, I mean, and it's the same concept, like we said, with like, because good guys finish last because of the bad guys, right? And all that, and everybody's looking for a good guy. Then when the bad guy is the norm as well, many of the women feel like, well, this guy ain't toxic enough. You know what I'm saying? You start getting used to what's not good, right? And stuff like that. So I think across the board, like I say, both sexes can definitely contribute to the whole, right? The thinking has to change, like you said. Like Carmen said, we got to teach our kids. We have to teach our kids, right? The unfortunate is, I've taught my girls how to be safe. I've taught them how to stand up for themselves. I've taught them all the things. Both of them have had sexual assault experience. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, there's nothing that I was able to do, to completely protect them from that, right? And so, now the cycle continues, right? The great thing about them, though, is that they do have me as a mom, and I made sure they had their therapy, and we talk about the things freely, and and so they don't have to hide in it. They don't have to be shameful. They don't have to feel guilt for something they didn't do, and they know how to choose a lot better now, and stuff like that. So the education, I feel like, is still super effective, and so the effects of what happened to them didn't last well into their 30s because that happened to them, right? And stuff like that. So they had what was necessary to heal themselves, in the process, and be in healthy relationships beyond that. Because we can't always we can't always control what happens, but we can control how we respond to it, right? And for both of them, it also meant for them not to victimize somebody else, for them not to take that hurt and pain that happened to them and project it onto other people, or self-destruct in different ways, So
Yeah, as a parent, as an intentional parent, as a loving parent, as a caring parent, our thing is we want to protect our children, right? The biggest thing that hurt me while in this stage of parenting, my daughter fell off the bed.
Ooh, I remember
She
them days.
fell off the bed, and she hurt her little face or whatever, and it hurt me so bad that I wasn't there or didn't get there in time enough to make sure she didn't hurt, right? Or didn't get hurt.
Right.
So the only thing that what I'm trying to say in that is we can do everything that we can do to
Mm-hmm.
protect our children, but life happens.
Life happens,
So
yeah.
you have to equip your child with knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and then when life happens, you have to be there to pick them up
And
and
help them
to help them
get
get
better.
back to or be as well as possible.
Possible. Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the goal. You know. So it's 10 o'clock. We got any final thoughts before we roll?
Well, my thing is daddy issues on both sides, men and women. I don't feel that they're issues that have to be.
Okay.
Because if you identify those things that you feel that you were missing and deal with those, then you don't have to keep making those bad decisions, which are your decisions, and blaming it on what you were missing.
Right.
So get your help, get your understanding of you, and try to be better than what you experienced,
I like that.
and identify you saw the bad thing, but you also saw some good somewhere.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So pull from that and not from what you directly experienced. Understand what you experienced, deal with what you experienced, but gain an understanding from the positive things that you've seen and try to identify with that versus what you had.
I agree with Austin once again. I like something that he said earlier, that he was always very interested in finding out the way that he worked. And I think just doing that, having the conversations like these, of course, is very helpful and great. But if people took the time to really just sit with themselves, not drinking it away, sexing it away, all these different coping mechanisms, just taking time to sit with yourself and do the work, it solves so many other problems. But it's not easy. Chanel, we know it's not easy.
It's not easy.
So a lot of people avoid, and they like to have something else to blame it on. Well, my father wasn't around, or this, or I never saw this or that. But no matter what hand you were dealt, or whatever your home life may have been, like he said, at a certain point, it's on you.
Yep.
It's on you to make better decisions and to change. And that's just something I've taken very seriously in my own life. And then I just highly recommend for other people, just taking the time to sit with yourself and find out why you are the way you are. So,
yes.
And I used to do that all the time. And I advise a lot of people to do that that's going through a lot of things. I used to always, and I still do it every now and then now, but as you get wiser, you make fewer mistakes. So I would sit in a room by myself. I don't need no distractions, and I evaluate self. I actually look at the man in the mirror and say, what are you doing wrong? Why are you going through what you're going through? Are you going to keep repeating this same cycle? You know what I'm saying? You have to, if you want to do better, you have to do something different to do better. And I used to always repeat. And I was like, hey, I'm not happy. I'm not going down this right path. So let me try something different. And when you look at yourself, now don't get me wrong. It's been times where I wanted to punch the mirror. I'm not going. I punched the mirror, hurt my hand. It didn't break, but I hurt my hand. And you can actually get to where you almost hate yourself until you make that change. And that's when you know you need to make that change. And that way you don't, is when you start taking accountability. And that was the biggest thing. I never pointed the finger. I always held myself accountable. And that's why when I meet people that don't like taking accountability for their actions, it's such a pet peeve of mine. I hate that, But yeah, I used to beat myself up, but you have to self-evaluate yourself and stop pointing the finger to find a reason to blame someone for your behavior or the situation you're in, why you're not making what you want to make, why you're not doing what you want to do in life, why you're not having the relationships that you feel like you should have. That's a self issue. And you have to work with yourself. And a lot of times it takes therapists. You know, you have to seek help. Everybody just can't, because I used to turn to the bottle. But what I learned about that bottle, once I wake up from being drunk, guess what? That problem was still there. It was still there. And so I think too much. And so I was like, why am I even doing this? And I just stopped drinking altogether, you know, when you going through stuff for what? You harming your body, harming yourself, and that problem still is there. Whether it's that woman, whether it's that bill, whether it's whatever, it's still there. So yeah, you have to evaluate yourself and want to do better.
Absolutely.
Pointing the blame, pointing somebody out, you know, pointing the finger, trying to blame someone for your actions. That's the most crippleless, you know, thing. But and like everybody say, everybody can't do that. And that's why we have therapists. So, and I've been preaching since I met this therapist that therapy is something people really need to start getting into now, because life is getting harder and harder to cope with by yourself.
Right.
And if you're not strong enough, you have to seek that help. And why not talk to someone who don't know you from a can of paint, that's not biased, that can give you guidance.
Right. Right. And so I'll wrap that up by agreeing with everybody, except that whole if you're not strong enough thing. And only because nobody is strong all the time, right? And those of us who learn the coping mechanism of being strong, you know, we're mush on the inside, right? And so you still need to seek the help, because we are not here alone. We're here as a community of people. We weren't put here by ourselves. We are interconnected on several levels. And so we do need each other in order to be better, do better. Like I said, even relationships themselves. Me and my therapist just talking about that. Like, relationships help you grow if you allow them to. If you allow them to, all right? No matter how horrible they are, how great they are, they're supposed to challenge you to grow, right? I know people are often like, you know, well, how do I do that, right? Because we always say, this is what you need to do. That's what you need to do. One, I'm gonna say that, you know, of course, I'm always advocate for therapy, but it's not always accessible to everybody all the time, right? Who are your people? Who got your back? Start talking with them and having them hold you accountable, and being willing to receive that. There are books, there are journals, there are podcasts. There are 1,000 ways for you to start the journey of looking at yourself and self-reflecting, right? And releasing whatever the junk is, guilt, shame, because those are the two lowest frequencies, and fear. But start doing something somewhere, right? And the universe will start to provide the other things that you need, right? I am a therapist who intentionally sees marginalized and disenfranchised folks, and I intentionally break barriers to get people into therapy, right? I know everybody ain't doing it, but I am, you know, and I partner with other people that do, and there's foundations that help pay for stuff. You know, you can't go to individual therapy, get into a group, right? You know, start to talk to somebody though. Start looking at yourself and figuring out, what do I need for something to change? Because it is all on you. It's absolutely all on you. I don't care what your mama did, what your daddy did, whatever it is, it's still on you to heal yourself so that you don't continue those messed up cycles that we have all come from. This is how we break that. That's how we stop the daddy and mama issues, is we start becoming better daddies and mamas to our babies, right? That's how we break cycles. So I invite y'all to continue to come to this podcast. I invite you to check out Choosing Empowerment. We also have a therapy group, and that's not a therapy group. It's a support group, and it's an anxiety support group. So we're starting there. It's every Monday. at 7 o'clock. I'm gonna put the link down there so you can register for it if you want to get in. But again, another low-cost way for you to be able to start the process. Get into the room of people who get you, who understand you, who can collaborate, and y'all can help each other out. And you have a clinician or a mental health person that can help guide you through the process and all that. So eliminate the fear, start looking at yourself, start making changes, people. You gotta start making changes, you know. That's
True that.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
So with that being said, y'all already know. It's time to Dr. Tip. Next week we'll be coming back with more and more. I don't know if we're gonna if George will be on here, we'll tackle the what is it, daddy issues with the sons. And then after that, I'm gonna do the hip hop thing, but I want to touch up on the cheating thing amongst men and women, because lately they've been saying, it's been a lot of men complaining when the woman does it, but men been doing it forever. So, I'm kind of mixed on that now, because some of the guys deserve to be cheated on. But anyway, I see when you get wiser, you see things different,
Right.
But I wouldn't have said this even 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But yeah, I want to touch upon
that 2 weeks ago. Wait, before we go, Carmen, where you got that hat? You made that?
Oh, actually, someone made it for me. Her name is Jasmine. I just found her the other day. I made a post saying that I have actually 2 pieces.
I was going to say she got the whole ensemble on.
Yeah,
that is so cute.
She just made it for me, and it's super cute.
You blasted it on your page already?
Not yet. She just brought it to me so I could wear it for this. So I'm going to
blast it on your page. That is too cute. Yeah, I love that. You're welcome. All right, we had our girl talk. Go ahead.
All right, so people are out there talking about it, so we might as well speak on it.
There you go. And until next week, we out, same time, same place. Check us out on YouTube, the X app. We just all over the place. Every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Speak on the podcast 2K24. And like we say, we out. And what we say, hey.
What you think, man?
I've been in the polyamory lifestyle. I can't even say lifestyle, because it's not a lifestyle. It's a way of loving, not a way of living. I've been polyamorous for about 10 years now. Okay. And the mindset for me is, mentally, I think I've been polyamorous longer than actually practicing it, because I've always felt that this monogamy just doesn't fit for me. Right. I don't understand why I have to only love one person, or why I can only show affection for one person. Where is this written? Why do I have to go along with what the societal standard supposedly is?
Right.
And then
the problem comes when you love somebody too much. When you let yourself love somebody too much,
and they don't love you the same.
It's not even matter whether they love you back or not. They can love you back, but it's still unhealthy to love somebody that much. Which I understand that ideology of that. Well, I can't have. I might as well. I've been there. I know that. But at the same time, you have to realize, what your culpability is in a relationship going, however it went. You start thinking about, well, damn, I did this. So, you can love somebody too much. And then, this complicates things for us men, because we already have a hard time forming those emotional attachments. You already told, don't do this.
The missing link to that goes back to a time before we even thought, why doesn't my father is that a protection for me?
Right.
Or is that the way he was raised? Or maybe somebody hugged him one day, a man hugged him. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm just saying we got
no, but there are things that could have happened that absolutely that caused him to be the way he is.
Made him feel weird, needed.
Right.
So the things that we think are sometimes a rejection or a lack may have been a protection.
And most of the time they are, like absolutely. But if we don't understand that, all we know is the rejection.
You see, like what I understand with my father,
men were going to jail, killing each other, and then now we got bisexual, then we got gays, now we got transgender. So with all of that going on, the purpose of that was removing the black man, the black male from the household. Okay? So with him not being in the household, she's getting the welfare, or she's out there in the workforce, forced to take care of herself, and if she have children, to take care of the children alone. Whether he's in jail, whether he's dead, whether he's bisexual, whether he's gay, whatever. The black male was removed from the home, and black woman was forced to provide for the children, for herself.
You're missing one other thing that removes black male from the home. That's white women. Because after a while, it was run on black men, white women. Yeah, white women. You know, at one point, black men, they just had to have a white woman. No matter what their social economical status was, white women was the way to go. And so that pulled a lot of black men out of the house.
Damn, I sure missed that. I mean, I know Rick James, you know, I know, you know, I mean, you did it. I just didn't think of that as a major absence of the black man. So you
being a provider means so many things.
Right.
It means put you in a house. You know, it means I got your back. It means we're doing this together. It means I'm not gonna walk away when things get hard. You know, that's providing, right? I'm gonna provide emotional protection so that you can, you know, I'll be present for you when you don't feel like you can be there for yourself or whatever, you know. So there's so much more definition to the thing, right? And even on the flip side, looking at, you know, men with kids, right? I remember I did not want a man who had kids, and I was about 25 when I met my ex-husband.